And with the explosion of parachurch ministries like InterVarsity, options abound. Most of those options involve raising one's support to cover salary and ministry expenses. This is where fellow Asian American Christians, I believe, can play a strategic role. I went on the internet and I discovered the starting salary for a graduate of the University of Michigan's undergrad business school, $60,000, starting salary. So hold that number in your head, $60,000. Got it? I understand in your fellowship, AIV, that you have about 100 folk involved, 100 members. Let's say 25 of you will be graduating this spring. Let's say God calls 5 gifted University of Michigan graduates from AIV to serve as InterVarsity staff. Let's say the average budget for a new staff is $40,000. That's $200,000 for their combined budgets. Let's then take the other 20 of the graduates with their $60,000 starting salary. We'll just use that as an average because engineers, you know, you're going to make more. And there are others, like school teachers, who will start lower. So as an average, we'll just use $60,000. So the 20 of you, you covenant together to choose to live on half of your salary. And after giving to your church, you give $10,000 each to fund your 5 colleagues who've been called into ministry. If my math is correct, 20 times 10,000 is $200,000. That's 5 fully funded Asian American staff doing the kind of work that Sarah Chang is doing at the University of Michigan, freed up and sent out by AIV to other universities in Michigan. Now, is that crazy talk, or is that doable? Think about it. That's year 1. What if the University of Michigan AIV was so committed to Asian American students in other nearby states like Ohio and Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia that you decided to do this for 5 years in a row? That's 25 fully funded Asian American staff sharing Jesus with Asian Americans and other students in Michigan, Ohio, Western PA, and West Virginia. Think of 25 universities in these states with Asian American staff. Let's say each work with 100 students. That's 2,500 Asian American students trained and developed to become world changers. That would be an incredible gift to the Asian American churches in Michigan, Ohio, Western PA, and West Virginia. Now, is that crazy talk, or is that doable? I had a roommate in college. I'll call him Mark, because that was his name. I found out after we graduated that Mark was a millionaire when we were students. You would never know it. He never talked about money, and of the 4 of us, he was really the tightest as we shared a house together our senior year. When I came on staff with InterVarsity right out of college, I asked him if he would support me on staff. Now, I was raised a Buddhist, which is not a good church to come from if you're raising money to go into Christian ministry. I became a Christian right before I entered college, so I didn't have a church family to support me, but I sensed God's call to reach college students. Now, Mark had just gotten married. He asked me what my salary was. I said, in my first year, I said, it's $375. He goes, so $375 a week? I said, no, $375 a month. The second year, I got this huge raise to $540 a month. I didn't know what I was going to do with all that money. Mark said he would lower his salary to match mine so he could feel what it was like to live on a staff worker's salary. He knew ministry was not his calling, but he wanted to experience firsthand our financial lifestyle. He started giving me $8,000 a year. That was 38 years ago. He and his wife have given over $250,000 to my wife's and my support. And we could not be serving within a varsity without their giving. Mark knew that he could never be an InterVarsity staff worker, but he knew he had the gift of giving. And this spiritual gift enabled me to do what is true to my heart's desire for college students, to see them meet Jesus and become more like him. So if we say that our wealth is from God and the money belongs to him and is on loan to us to use wisely, then let's live like we really mean that. The third gift that Asian Americans have to offer the kingdom is our intellect and our education. As Asian Americans, I believe we have this gift of our intellect and education. So if we would just kind of put aside those tacky stereotypes for a minute, we have to admit, though, that Asian Americans on the whole are a pretty smart lot. We may not all be the Asian whiz kids in math and science, but a lot of us do pretty well in other areas, if not in math and science. Now, not 10 years from now, after we graduate, is the time to start asking some candid questions about the stewardship of our talents. Ask yourself, if God truly gave me this mind, and my parents gave me this opportunity to get a first-rate education here at the University of Michigan, or at Flint, or at Michigan State, how can I be the best steward of it? Be a scholar. Learn all that you can. Figure out how your faith in Jesus and your academic discipline intersect, because they can and they should. One of my heroes, can we put that slide up? Do we have it ready? Is Dr. Louis Su. Louis and I met when we were both active at Atlanta Chinese Christian Church. Louis is brilliant. Louis is deeply committed to Jesus. Maybe about 30 years ago, Louis learned how sickle cell anemia was killing people, mostly African Americans. Louis has given his life the last 30 years, and probably the next however many he has, to find a cure for sickle cell anemia. For the past 20-something years, he has spent his days in a lab with mice. They're his best friends, he says, trying to find a cure for the disease that's killing African Americans. When he realized that he wasn't getting what he needed for his research in Atlanta, he moved his family to Washington, D.C., where he does research at the National Institute of Health. How might God use you with the mind and the heart he's given you and the wild dreams you have for what you might do with your life to help other people? Don't settle for something boring like becoming a millionaire so that you can have the latest toys. You are better than that. You were meant for more than that. The fourth gift that Asian Americans bring to the kingdom is level 5 leadership. In 2001, Jim Collins wrote the bestseller Good to Great, subtitled Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. He asked this question: can a good company become a great company, and if so, how? His team of research associates did massive research. They discovered out of 1,435 companies that have appeared on the Forbes 500 from 1965 to 2001, only 11 companies qualified as making the jump from being a good company to becoming a great company using their criteria for a great company. When Collins' research team looked for the repeated themes in these 11 companies, they were surprised with the outcome. In fact, they were shocked. They found a certain combination of qualities were found in all 11 of the CEOs of these 11 companies during their 15-year transition from being a good company to becoming a great one. Collins says this: the most powerfully transformative